Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you, General. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you. Please. Thank you so much. Madam Speaker, Madam Vice President, our First Lady and Second Gentleman, members of Congress and the Cabinet, Justices of the Supreme Court, my fellow Americans. Last year, COVID-19 kept us apart. This year, we're finally together again. Tonight, we meet as Democrats, Republicans, Independents, but most importantly, as Americans, with the duty to one another, to America, to the American people, to the Constitution, and an unwavering resolve that freedom will always triumph over tyranny. Thank you. 6 days ago, Russia's Vladimir Putin sought to shake the very foundations of the free world, thinking he could make it bend to his menacing ways. But he badly miscalculated. He thought he could roll into Ukraine and the world would roll over. Instead, he met with a wall of strength he never anticipated or imagined. He met the Ukrainian people. President Zelensky, to every Ukrainian, their fearlessness, their courage, their determination literally inspires the world. Groups of citizens blocking tanks with their bodies, everyone from students to retirees to teachers, turned soldiers defending their homeland. And in this struggle, President Zelensky said in his speech to the European Parliament, "Light will win over darkness." The Ukrainian ambassador to the United States is here tonight, sitting with the First Lady. Let each of us, if you're able to stand and send an unmistakable signal to the world of Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She's bright, she's strong, and she's resolved. Yes, we, the United States of America, stand with the Ukrainian people. Throughout our history, we've learned this lesson. When dictators do not pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos. They keep moving, and the cost, the threats to America and America to the world keeps rising. That's why the NATO alliance was created, to secure peace and stability in Europe after World War II. The United States is a member, along with 29 other nations. It matters. American diplomacy matters. American resolve matters. Putin's latest attack on Ukraine was premeditated and totally unprovoked. He rejected repeated efforts at diplomacy. He thought the West and NATO wouldn't respond. He thought he could divide us at home, in this chamber, in this nation. He thought he could divide us in Europe as well. But Putin was wrong. We are ready. We are united, and that's what we did. We stayed united. We prepared.
हम सब एक साथ हैं और यही हमने किया है. हम तैयार थे इसके लिए.
Coalitions of other freedom-loving nations in Europe and the Americas, from America to
अमेरिका और यूरोप के जो तमाम देश हैं, उनकी स्वतंत्रता, उनकी संप्रभुता के लिए हम प्रतिबद्ध हैं.
Like many of you, I spent countless hours unifying our European allies. We shared with the world in advance what we knew Putin was planning and precisely how he would try to falsify and justify his aggression. We countered Russia's lies with the truth. And now that he's acted, the free world is holding him accountable, along with 27 members of the European Union, including France, Germany, Italy.
सभी लोग उसे उसकी गलती के लिए जिम्मेदार मानते हैं। इसमें EU के 27 देश भी शामिल हैं।
Even Switzerland are inflicting pain on Russia and supporting the people of Ukraine. Putin is now isolated from the world
लोग यूक्रेन के साथ हैं।
ever been. Together,
हम सब साथ मिलकर रूस को मनमानी नहीं करने देंगे।
Together, along with our allies, we are right now enforcing powerful economic sanctions.
हम अपने सहयोगियों के साथ मिलकर फिलहाल बेहद सख्त आर्थिक प्रतिबंध लगा रहे हैं,
making Putin's $630 billion war fund worthless. We're choking
Russia's $630 million का झटका दिया।
Choking Russia's access to technology that will sap its economic strength and weaken its military for years to come.
और इन प्रतिबंधों से उसे तगड़ा झटका लगेगा और आने वाले सालों में वो कमजोर होगा, आर्थिक रूप से, तकनीकी रूप से।
The United States, I mean it. The United States Department of Justice is assembling a dedicated task force to go after the crimes of the Russian oligarchs. We're joining with European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets.
हम यूरोपीय यूनियन के सदस्यों के साथ मिलकर जहां भी इनकी संपत्तियां हैं, इनके लग्जरी याट हैं, उन सबको सीज करेंगे। हम रूस की अर्थव्यवस्था को पूरी तरह से तबाह कर देंगे।
The ruble has already lost 30% of its value.
रूस का रूबल पहले से ही उसका जो 30% है उसका मूल्य खो चुका है अभी तक। रूस की अर्थव्यवस्था बेहद कमजोर हो चुकी है। हम अपने सहयोगियों के साथ मिलकर यूक्रेन के लोगों को सहयोग दे रहे हैं। हम उन्हें मानवीय सहायता प्राप्त दिला रहे हैं, उन्हें हम कई अरब डॉलर की सहायता दे रहे हैं।
But let me be clear, our forces are not
और मैं एक बात स्पष्ट कर देना चाहता हूं कि हमारी सेना इसमें सीधे तौर पर शामिल नहीं है। लेकिन हम अपने सहयोगियों की रक्षा के लिए हमेशा तैयार हैं।
Ship deployments to protect NATO countries, including Poland, Romania,
तमाम नेटो देशों की
Lithuania, and Estonia.
रक्षा के लिए हम प्रतिबद्ध हैं, चाहे वो जो हो।
The United States and our allies will defend every inch of territory that is NATO territory.
NATO और हमारे तमाम सहयोगी जो भी नेटो से जुड़े हुए हैं, उसकी हर इंच की हिफाजत हम करेंगे। इसके लिए हम प्रतिबद्ध हैं।
And we're clear-eyed. Ukrainians are fighting back with pure courage.
यूक्रेन के लोग जबरदस्त साहस के साथ
will be hard on them.
लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं।
Putin has unleashed violence and chaos. But while he may make gains on the
वो
battlefield,
हिंसा का सामना कर रहे हैं, वो अराजकता का सामना कर रहे हैं।
over the long run. And a pound of Ukrainian people, proud people, pound for pound, ready to fight with every inch of energy they have.
और यूक्रेन के लोग,
They've known 30 years of independence.
उन पर गर्व होना चाहिए। वो अपनी मातृभूमि के लिए हर एक इंच के लिए, जमीन के हर एक इंच के लिए वो लड़ रहे हैं।
To all Americans, I'll be honest with you, as I always promised I would be. A Russian dictator invading a foreign country has cost around the world
रूस का डिक्टेटर
I'm taking robust action to
युद्ध
make sure
थोप रहा है और इसका असर पूरी दुनिया पे है, पूरी दुनिया उसकी निंदा कर रही है।
And that we use every tool at our disposal to protect American businesses and consumers. Tonight, I can announce the United States has worked with 30 other countries to release 60 million barrels of oil from reserves around the world. America will lead that effort, releasing 30 million barrels of our own strategic petroleum reserve. And we stand ready to do more if necessary, united with our allies. These steps will help blunt gas prices here at home, but I know news about what's happening can seem alarming to all Americans. But I want you to know we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. When the history of this era is written, Putin's war in Ukraine will have left Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger.
जब इतिहास लिखा जाएगा तो पुतिन एक कमजोर शख्स के रूप में नजर आएंगे और यूक्रेन के लोग ताकतवर।
While it shouldn't have taken something so terrible for people around the world to see what's at stake, now everyone sees it clearly. We see the unity among leaders of nations.
आज पूरी दुनिया अब साफ तौर पर दिख रही
A
है।
more unified West. We see unity among the people who are gathering in cities.
हम देख रहे हैं कि जो पूरा पश्चिम है वो अब कहीं ज्यादा संगठित है
To demonstrate their support for the people of Ukraine.
और सभी मिलकर यूक्रेन के लोगों की सहायता दे रहे हैं, उन्हें सहायता कर
Democracies
रहे
are
हैं।
rising to the moment, and the world is clearly choosing the side of peace and security. This is the real test, and it's going to take time. So let us
ये
continue
सही
to
मायने में
draw
आज
inspiration
परीक्षा है और
from the
इसमें
iron will of
वक्त
the Ukrainian
लगेगा।
people. To our fellow Ukrainian Americans who forged a deep bond that connects our two nations, we stand
हमारे
with
जो
you.
साथी यूक्रेनियन अमेरिकन हैं,
Putin may circle
आप
Kyiv
हम
with
दोनों देशों
tanks,
को एक साथ
but
जोड़ते
he'll
हैं।
never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. He'll never extinguish their love of freedom, and he will never weaken the resolve of the free world. We meet tonight in an America that has lived through two of the hardest years this nation has ever faced. The pandemic has been punishing, and so many families are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to keep up with the rising cost of food, gas,
हमने
housing,
महामारी का सामना
and so
किया
much
है और
more.
बड़ी तादाद में
I understand, like many of you did. My dad had to
लोगों की
leave
मौत
his
हुई है।
home in Scranton, Pennsylvania to find work. So like many of you, I grew up in a family when the price of food went up, it was felt throughout the family. It had an impact. That's one of the first things I did as president was fight to pass the American Rescue Plan. Because people were hurting. We needed to act, and we did. Few pieces of legislation have done more at a critical moment in our history to lift us out of a crisis.
बहुत ही अहम पड़ाव था ये और उससे संकट से हमें बाहर निकलना था, इसके लिए कार्रवाई करने की जरूरत थी और हमने
Delivered
किया।
immediate economic relief to tens of millions of Americans. It helped put food on the table. Remember those long lines of
हमें
cars
अपने
waiting for
साथी
hours
अमेरिकियों
just to
की
get a
मदद
box
करनी
of
थी,
food
उन्हें
put in their
उन
trunk.
तक भोजन पहुंचाना था और हमने किया।
It cut the cost of health care insurance. And as my dad used to say, it gave the people just a little bit of breathing room. Unlike the $2 trillion tax cut passed in the previous administration that benefited the top 1% of Americans, the American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind. Folks, and it worked. It worked. It worked. We created jobs, lots of jobs. In fact, our economy created over 6.5 million new jobs just last year. More jobs in 1 year than ever before in the history of the United States of America. The economy grew at a rate of 5.7 last year, the strongest growth rate in 40 years. And the first step in bringing fundamental change to our economy that hasn't worked for working people in this nation for too long. For the past 40 years, we were told The tax break for those at the top and benefits would trickle down and everyone would benefit. But that trickle-down theory led to a weaker economic growth, lower wages, bigger deficits, and a widening gap between the top and everyone else in nearly a century. Look, Vice President Harris and I ran for office, and I realize we have fundamental disagreements on this, but ran for office with a new economic vision for America. Invest in America, educate Americans, grow the workforce, build the economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down, because we know when the middle class grows, the poor have a way up and the wealthy do very well. America used to have the best roads, bridges, and airports on earth, and now our infrastructure is ranked 13th in the world. We won't be able to compete for the jobs of the 21st century if we don't fix it. That's why it was so important to pass the bipartisan infrastructure law. And I thank my Republican friends who joined to invest and rebuild America, the single biggest investment in history. It was a bipartisan effort, and I want to thank the members of both parties who worked to make it happen. We're done talking about infrastructure weeks. We're now talking about an infrastructure decade. And look, it's going to transform America, to put us on a path to win the economic competition of the 21st century that we face with the rest of the world, particularly China. I've told Xi Jinping.
तो सुना आपने यहाँ पर अमेरिकी राष्ट्रपति जो बाइडेन को नाटो देशों की रक्षा के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है। लोकतंत्र और तानाशाही के बीच में ये पूरी की पूरी लड़ाई जो है वो जारी है। यूक्रेन को $1 बिलियन की मदद दी जाएगी। बाइडेन का ये कहना, हमारी सेना यूक्रेन युद्ध में हिस्सा नहीं लेगी। एक बार फिर से उसी बात को दोहराया गया है, लेकिन यूक्रेन को हर तरह की मदद दी जाएगी। अंधकार को हराकर प्रकाश जीतेगा, ये बातें अमेरिकी राष्ट्रपति जो बाइडेन की ओर से कही गई हैं। यूक्रेन ने जबरदस्त साहस दिखाया है। जिस तरह से यूक्रेन लगातार मैदान में डटा हुआ है युद्ध के, उसको लेकर तारीफ करते नजर आए अमेरिकी राष्ट्रपति जो बाइडेन, और कहा हमारी सेना युद्ध में हिस्सा नहीं लेगी। यूक्रेनी लोग भी बहुत बहादुरी से रूस का सामना कर रहे हैं। उन्होंने कहा कि रूस पर कड़े प्रतिबंध जो है वो अमेरिका की ओर से लगाए गए। रूस के लिए एयर स्पेस जो है अब वो बंद कर दिया गया है। हवाई क्षेत्र रूस के लिए पूरी तरह से अमेरिका ने बंद किया।